TIFU by blowing all my savings going to Italy. I've always dreamed of going to Italy. I'm an artist. 21F. Love galleries and art, and it seemed like a dream for as long as I can remember. I'm from the UK, so totally aware of the Paris syndrome etc., and wasn't expecting to be blown away by anything other than the art, but I hate it here. I've been in Verona for 2 days and then Venice for 2 and supposed to be here till the end of the week. I've been to a few galleries which have been okay, but all the time in between that I've been crying. Or trying not to cry. I understand my Italian is limited, but the hostility I receive as soon as I start talking, even when I speak in Italian, they will talk back to me in English. I've barely eaten and my anxiety is through the roof. I've been staying at hostels because I was hoping to make friends, but all the people there are Italians there for work in their 40s, 50s, and make it clear as they have all told me that I need to be quiet as I'm a tourist, and they are working when all I've done is quietly sit on my bed. I have to go to the lobby to talk to my mom, who I've been calling at least twice a day, when usually I call her once a week if that, and just cry down the phone. I've waited all my life for this. Spent all of savings, and it's not been worth it even for the art. I don't think I've ever felt so sad and alone. Dear, I'm in Italy. I hate it, and now I'm broke. I spent a lot of savings to go traveling for the first time. I'm stressed and upset and struggling to settle due to my anxiety. Age. Edit 1. Thank you to everyone who's commented, even though some were brutal ASF. It's my first time traveling, and my first time traveling alone. I think I thought I would be put in a situation where I had no other choice but to come out my shell, and instead it's made me regress. Terrified to do anything. I totally understand that the culture is different and didn't even think about the fact that in Britain workers are literally forced in their contracts to be happy and friendly. Lol. Yes, I work retail. I have always wanted to travel and enjoy my time alone, but I'm feeling very deflated and like a failure. The lack of sleep and food also is probably making things worse. I grew a pair though, and I'm currently drinking a coffee and having a nice sandwich by the Canal RN. Probably going to try pick up a sketchbook so I can explore and draw without feeling as awkward, and try to take in my surroundings more. Edit 2. I'm not good at explaining myself. Italians speaking English to me isn't hostile, it's obviously really helpful. It's the change in attitude they immediately have. Not everyone obviously, but most will be laughing and talking in Italian to others when I enter in. I say ciao and they greet me nicely back, but then when I usually say hello in English to let them know I'll probably need to order in English, they immediately change tune. It's hard to explain, but they go cold. Again, maybe it's a cultural thing, or I get the FFS another tourist feeling, and they're just doing their job, but it was off-putting the amount of times it has happened and makes me feel unwelcome. Yes, I was probably expecting a social aspect from cafes the way they are in the UK, and it's left me feeling even more lonely and anxious, but looking at it now and talking with people on here, I think I'll just need to get better at getting over it, I guess. Edit 3. I've pre-booked my hostel and a gallery for every day, so I can't really jump on a train and go, as they are non-refundable, and I'm excited for the galleries. Can't afford to waste the money, so gonna stick it out. The hostel is only a bed to sleep in at the end of the day. I genuinely did think I had researched everything enough, and the hostel marketed itself as for tourists with a common room and thousands of reviews from people saying it was great. Might just be the time of year I've decided to go that the clientele is different. Hey, you're in Italy. Take some pics. Go find the touristy places and snap pics. I once blew 11k of my local currency to do a Europe Kentucky. I too was miserable for the first 2 weeks. Crying and calling home. But then I got over it, and now 10 years later I'm glad I did it. Money can always be earned. This moment of yours is forever etched in your psyche, even if it's to go get a cheap ice cream at a touristy square. Do it. By the way, I was left behind at Pisa. Fucking scary. Find a different hostel. There's tons of them catering to young tourists filled with peeps who also are there to meet new people, etc. Lonely Planet guidebooks are good for this. I've been visiting Italy as an English-speaking tourist for years. It can be super chill and fun and friendly. Sounds like you just had some bad luck. Take a deep breath and remind yourself why you went there in the first place. It will click into place eventually. Italian here. You shouldn't get offended when people reply to you in English. It's a gesture of courtesy. They're trying to make it easier for you to interact with them and making you feel welcome. Also, many young people try to practice their English as often as they can. Since speaking English fluently is an incredibly valuable skill for foreigners. If you want to practice your Italian, start by saying that you're trying to learn Italian and that you would appreciate if you could have a conversation in Italian. It is also a good icebreaker to have conversations with strangers. Besides that, you went to the most overcrowded touristy city in the world. It's normal to feel not welcome. Last time I went there it felt like I was visiting an amusement park since there is virtually no local there. Since you said you're into art, you should visit other cities like Milano, Florence and Rome, but also less popular places like Modena, Parma, Bologna, Lucca, Siena, Urbino, Ferrara, Ravenna, and countless of other places. Each place you visit has different culinary specialties and traditions. Ask the locals what you should try out in every place. Maybe write a post in R Italy or R Italia asking for suggestions on what to see close to where you are. I wouldn't be surprised if someone even offered to show you around or invited you to take an aperitivo with their group of friends. You could also install Tinder and write in your bio that you need someone to show you around. Just make sure to mention what you're looking for to avoid setting false expectations. Get on a train and head to Florence. Venice isn't all that it's cracked up to be if you meet the wrong people, which is very easy to do. There. I'm not a fan either. You'll most likely enjoy Florence a lot more. Sorry dude, but your main mistake was going to the wrong Italy. I've been staying in Italy as a foreigner since September last year, and I find people very welcoming. However, you went to Venezia, the most over-touristed city in the world. Try Firenze for better art and perhaps Bologna for a city that's not drowning in tourism but still very much able to cope with it. There are also tons of galleries here, and a high-speed railway hub that lets you go everywhere very quickly. You are in Italy, man. Enjoy the art, architecture and the good food. Use this trip to grow as a person and it will be money well spent. Making friends is not really the goal of a trip. Just go to Florence. First of all, it's the art central of Italy, and you can spend like a month just going to galleries. Second, the city center is nothing but tourists, so you can find friends way more easily. And the locals seemed very nice when I was there like 2 months ago. I am not trying to be mean, but could it be that you made up a movie-like scenario in your head how your stay will be in now? You're angry it didn't work out that way? I'm asking because a former colleague of mine went to Paris and came back really angry and didn't want to talk about it afterwards, and we found out she went there because she hopes she'll meet a French art collector or successful fashion guy who swoops her off her feet and that she experiences Paris like in the movies, and all she did was sitting in her Airbnb because everything was too expensive and no guy invited her to events. I live near Venice. I think in that place people are just fed up with tourism. So you will find people somewhat hostile. They are just so tired of having people around constantly that is getting out of hand. I could suggest you a lot of places to visit if you like art. It is a shame you can't enjoy spring and summer here. Honestly, you sound a little young in mentality to be going away on your own. Traveling alone can be a really fun and eye-opening experience, but if you don't have the kind of personality type that just gets on with things, you're probably not going to have a great time. People are busy, working. Nobody really cares that you're a tourist. Some will be actively disdainful towards tourists. That's the reality of traveling. Maybe you'll catch someone in a good mood and they'll try help you with your Italian. Most won't care. Try to not take things personality and just do your own thing. I speak fluent Italian since I was 6. Learned to read and write in school and have family that I visit every summer. When traveling, anyone who is Italian knows when I open my mouth I'm American. The only reason they respond in English is to show they are able to speak English, and they try to exercise the language when possible. Also, talking with hand gestures can seem intimidating. Worst place I traveled was Naples. Worst because I had no idea what to see, or I thought it wasn't that great at first. Great because when we had a local to show us around, it turned into a different trip and was absolutely splendid. Do research, have or find a guide, or all you will see are the tourist spots, not the absolute soul of Italy that I've seen. Winking face. Try and take a step back and look at things from a different perspective. You've been brave enough to travel alone and experience some beautiful cities for cultural reasons. That's admirable. As far as the language goes, I tend to greet and leave in the native tongue, but in my experience, Italians and most of Europe, their English will be amazing. Northern Italy, and especially tourist centers like Verona, Venice and the lakes, 99% of the time you won't have an issue. Try not to take it personally if they respond in English. It sounds like you're trying really hard to learn and enjoy the Italian language. But if speaking English is the most efficient way to converse, then embrace it. For the rest of the week, work out itineraries, but don't be afraid to allow yourself get distracted and explore different exhibitions, historical landmarks, and general day-to-day life as you navigate around. I wish you all the best. Just remember, you'll be on the plane home before you know it. Just try and create some good memories in the meantime. My dear friend, get to Milan. It's more international friendly. It's not Italy, but it's Italy enough. Brera, for example. Get to Florence. It's unbelievable. Cheer up. Christmas history's driving everyone crazy. I understand my Italian is limited, but the hostility I receive as soon as I start talking, even when I speak in Italian, they will talk back to me in English. Wait a minute. So everyone is making an effort to talk to you in your language because they recognize your Italian is limited. And you see that as a sign of hostility? I am from the UK and have been to Venice a few times. You're there at an odd time of year, so you're likely not getting the best of it. Most of the hotels and other places close shop in terms of tourism around the end of September. A good time to go would usually be around April, when things are starting to open up. And it's mainly Italians and Germans staying locally, which means you wouldn't be too unusual as a tourist at that time and would have more people around interested in making friends. If you're on the Venice mainland, don't stay there. You're best off going out to Jesolo or something if you can find anything open there, and traveling into the main island for anything you really want to see. Additionally, yes, people will speak to you in English. Your Italian probably isn't the best just yet, and you shouldn't take this as an offense. I understand you are trying to practice, but they are doing this to try and make things easier for you. It's also worth remembering that Venice has huge issues with tourism. The ugly yachts bigger than the main island itself, which cause massive amounts of pollution for Example: a lot of people don't respect the city fully when they do visit. At this time of year, you'd be better off somewhere like Milan, which is more opened up to tourists at all times of the year. Verona and Venice are not winter cities. WTF man. Go out and explore lol. If you haven't already, check out our solo travel. Especially in Europe, people are going to be able to give tips and hostel suggestions. Venice and Verona seem like weird choices for an art lover. I'd skip town and head to Florence and maybe Milan for a bit more of a big city feel. People were super friendly. In Florence, I think it attracts a more sophisticated type of visitor. And fewer of the cruise ship, Hawaiian shirt tourists you'll find in Venice. Tourists in Florence also tend to be more respectful of the city's heritage. And as a result, the people there are also more respectful to tourists. We spent a week in Florence last winter and it wasn't enough. Not nearly enough. You could probably spend half a week just going through the Uffizi. If you take your time. There is a group called Our Solo Travel. They are supportive but also honest, which could be good right now. They can also give advice from experience and suggestions from their travels. Can I offer a couple of notes from being a solo traveler? Get a book, or an e-reader, or an app on your phone. Don't be embarrassed to read in public spaces. It doesn't have to be high literature. It can be anything. Consider a local SIM card with oodles of data. Not having to worry about data costs can make travel much easier. You can look up the location you're in. Check reviews. Check prices for trains and flights. Find out about free stuff to do. Have a look on groups like Meetup, or the subreddit for where you are, and ask for English-speaking people, groups. If you are miserable in your accommodation, change it. Small hotels and rooms hosted by bars and restaurants can often be far more friendly than hostels. Get your own space. It's easier to socialize if you haven't been kept awake by the snoring, breathing, bathroom breaks, etc. of others, and that includes you. Sharing a space with people for sleeping has lots of issues and it's not for everyone. And unless you video yourself, you don't know if you are the snorer. And just because everyone raves about a destination, it might not be your cup of tea, and that is fine. Italy has great transport links. Trains are pretty easy. And above all, eat. It doesn't have to be healthy, and if you just want to buy pizza by the slice and pastries, that's fine. Just eat regularly. Everything is better when you've got some calories and fluids in you. The water in Italy is drinkable, so grab a bottle to refill. If you buy a coffee, ask them to fill your bottle. Don't panic about the language. Start with a buongiorno and a big smile. Make eye contact and slow down. Pour favor and grazie go a long way. If people aren't nice, then they're just not nice people. I work at a tourist destination and speak with many people who do not speak English. It's part of my job to make sure my customer gets served with what they want and nicely. So if they can't take a minute to slow down or even just point a bit, then don't stress over somebody else being grumpy. They're probably grumpy a lot. Dude, you are an artist. Suffering is kind of a requirement for a complete portfolio. Stop complaining and thank the nice Italians for helping you. But seriously, stop making other people the source and requirement for your happiness. It will kill you. You have all the architecture, art and history around you, and you choose to focus on people? Go do some sightseeing.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.